Most people plan their retirement together. She planned hers alone at 68, standing beside a grave that still smelled of fresh soil. Her children told her to move in with them. She said no. What she did next quietly changed dozens of lives, including her own. There's a specific kind of Tuesday that changes everything. Not a Monday, people are braced for those. Not a Friday, those feel survivable. A Tuesday, unremarkable. The kind of day you make a grocery list and argue lightly about whether the back porch needs repainting. 2 coffee mugs, a kitchen table, 1 chair with a wear mark on the armrest. For Margaret Ellis of Dayton, Ohio, that Tuesday came on October 14th. She was 68 years old. She had been married to Harold for 47 years, and by 4:17 in the afternoon she was a widow. Harold was a high school history teacher for 31 years. He coached junior varsity baseball badly. His words: he planted tomatoes every April with absolute certainty that this year they would finally come in right. They never did. Margaret was a bookkeeper, a mother of 2, the kind of person who remembered everyone's birthday and never mentioned her own. She did not describe herself as remarkable. That is the most remarkable thing about her. On the morning of October 14th, they had coffee together at 7:15, as they had for 5 decades. Harold said the porch needed repainting. Margaret told him to stop mentioning it unless he planned to do it. He laughed. She laughed. He left for a routine checkup. She went to her sister Carol's house. That was the last ordinary morning of her life. At 2:43 p.m., Margaret's phone rang. She was in Carol's garage holding a box of Christmas ornaments from 1987. The number on the screen was Miami Valley Hospital. Harold had a massive heart attack in the parking lot of his doctor's office. He never made it inside. A nurse on her day off performed CPR for 11 minutes. Paramedics worked on him for 23 more. He was 71, no prior cardiac history. He had passed a stress test 14 months earlier. At 1:58 p.m., Harold Allen Ellis was pronounced dead. Margaret drove herself to the hospital. She doesn't remember the drive. She remembers the parking garage, the fluorescent light flickering on level 2. She remembers signing something. She remembers walking out alone. She pulled into her driveway at 5:30, saw the porch light on. Harold had put it on a timer years ago, and sat in the car for an hour and 40 minutes because she couldn't make herself go inside. The grocery list was still on the refrigerator. The crossword was still on the side table. Everything exactly as it had been. Nothing would ever be exactly that again. Grief, Margaret will tell you, is not sadness. It is disorientation. It is reaching for your phone to share something funny, and then remembering in a full-body moment that never stops being physical why you can't. Her children arrived within 24 hours. Dana from Portland, Robert from Cincinnati. They were loving, present, and quietly convinced Margaret should not live alone. Dana wanted her in Portland. Robert offered the spare room in Cincinnati. Neighbors brought casseroles. The pastor came twice. Everyone had a plan for Margaret. Margaret had no plan for Margaret. She didn't sit in Harold's chair for 6 weeks, physically walked around it. Then on a Thursday night in December, 11 weeks after he died, she sat in it. She sat for 3 hours. She just sat, didn't cry. She'd already cried more than she thought a body could hold. The average age in her class was 22. There were 17 students. Margaret was 68. She sat in the second row, a compromise, she said, between hiding in the back and the hubris of the front. The professor, Dr. Alan Ferris, did not call on her once in the first 3 weeks. I almost quit after week 2. Not because it was hard, because I felt invisible. And I thought, I've spent enough of my life being invisible in rooms. So I stayed, out of stubbornness mostly. The first assignment, a 1-500-word essay on a formative experience. Margaret wrote about the hospital parking lot, the flickering light on level 2, the grocery list on the refrigerator. She wrote it at 2 a.m. in Harold's chair and turned it in without reading it back. There is no age at which your life stops being yours to decide about. Not 60, not 68, not 80. The grief, the fear, the feeling that the best is behind you. It's all real. I'm not dismissing it, but it's weather. It passes over you. You're still there underneath it, and you still get to decide what you do next. Harold was right about one thing. She had always been building something. She just didn't know it yet. Margaret's group meets every Saturday at 9 a.m. There is no sign on the door. There is always enough coffee. Slow pull back, the garden, the street, an ordinary Tuesday morning. Wind. A car starting 2 streets over.